some of my thoughts. So first, ceilings are really big, right? So with a really big space, you can get away with painting some dark. Now, obviously, we just started painting. All of this is going to be graphite, except for the brick. We're going to keep that. And then that's going to accentuate the elephant grass, the zebra stripe, the gigantic geodes. And let me tell you, the geodes are worth it. They probably could sell for $100,000, but I bought them from Brazil from a wholesaler, imported them in for like $8,000. So if those ever get broken, I'll tell Airbnb it cost me 6 figures, and we make a flip on that. Now, for a place this big, we need some big stuff. And so I've got this piece of artwork here. I had to custom make this. This is actually a shot that I did in Canada, and there's 6 different panels for it. And what I did is I found these little grommets, and I added those grommets to the wall there, and then these just click on. So I've got a 6-panel piece of artwork that's, I think, 6 feet or 8 feet wide and 8 feet tall. Huge piece. And that statement piece is going to be one of the things that make the living room. And so this is going to be tip number 1 for you. No matter how big your property is, no matter how small your property is, you need some statement pieces because we're selling through the photos, okay? And if you don't have interesting stuff in the photos, nobody's going to like click and then like go tour your place remotely to book. So between the big artwork and the geodes, hopefully the living room is going to be interesting enough. But to get this kind of white forward artwork to pop, that's why we did the black. So I also want to talk about room scale. Why don't you go upstairs so they can kind of see the scale of the living room and we can talk about that. And I'll close this door too. All right, so scale. This living room is pretty large. And one mistake I see a lot of hosts make is they buy the wrong size couches for living rooms. I've got a new student in Rockford who's got this gigantic gray couch and it takes up the whole living room. One of my students in Atlanta, she did the same thing. A beast of a couch, and you've got like 2 feet here and a foot over there. There's nowhere to like roam or run. So this 2-couch kind of setup gives ample amount of living room space and gives some flow. And because it's so big, I also bought these brown leather chairs that go well with the elephant grass and zebra stripe, and they go here in the corner. So that is our furniture plan for the living room with the leather. And that's a little custom piece of artwork by a guy named Harpoon here in Dallas. The orange house, it's all painted artwork, and he actually did a couple of pieces in there too. So let's go look at this bedroom. Now we're gonna start hitting you with some tips really fast. Okay, so you're gonna notice I'm doing a lot of dark, tons of dark. And the goal for this room is to go pretty much entirely black and then have like a bunch of plants forward. I made these lanterns by myself. I had to buy like custom, like this, kind of the outlets. And then I had to kind of cut open holes at the top of these lanterns and then put the light bulbs in. But now that they hang, they're kind of interesting and fun. Tips for you about beds. The bed should be comfortable and you should have at least 2 types of pillows. You should probably have like a down feather and maybe a memory foam one or something else. The reason why is some people are back sleepers, some people are side sleepers, and if you don't give people something that they can sleep on, it's going to affect their quality of sleep and it could lead to a 4-star review. The one thing we can guarantee somebody is going to use is the mattress, right? They're going to go to sleep. For longer stays, medium to medium firm. For shorter stays, medium soft. Believe that or not. People, the first night, they can kind of sink into a bed, but people can get back problems on softer mattresses. I read that somewhere. So we've kind of adopted that philosophy. Another tip, 3 sets of sheets, because you're going to have one on the bed, you're going to have one being cleaned, and you're going to have one in storage. And if one goes down, you never have to worry about racing to buy new sheets. For towels, we have 2 towels per guest, and we have 2 reservations worth of towels. That's how we don't run out of stuff. You want to have some extra stuff in inventory. I love stand-up mirrors for bedrooms, and I like plants. I think most people kind of skip that stuff. Books are really great, and we stage them around the house when we take photos because books make a home feel like it's actually been lived in. There's some things we want to add in to make a home seem less sterile and seem more like a home. Let me show you some other cool stuff. This was a waste of money. I spent $1,000 on custom mahogany top tables because I love mahogany. No one cares. That was a waste of money. You don't have to spend that much money. But all the artwork is custom. So this is a photo I took in Chiapas, Mexico. and I had it custom made. This cost me about $1,000 to blow up. The one that was in the living room with the 6 panels cost me about $800 to make as well. So, but these big art pieces really do make a space, and they help the home feel like more alive. And again, less meager, less sterile, less under-serviced. We're gonna skip the kitchen, but I have a whole video for you on the kitchen in the description of this video. So, because this is a long story, and this is not exactly a cute kitchen to show you how to do cool kitchen stuff. So watch that video next. Upstairs, okay. Are you guys having fun yet? Is this fun? Do you guys like this format? Like the on-the-fly live thing? If you like it, let me know in the comments, because first time for everything, right? So check this out. There's a grand piano upstairs, and we had to tug the grand piano, 6 guys. We had the sled and we had these ropes like we were Egyptians, and we had to pull the grand piano up the stairs, and we busted in this wall. So we painted it, but the color was off because we didn't have the original paint. Because I don't own this property. This is a rental. This is a failing rental that my friend was losing money on, and I rented it. And so because I don't have his original paint, because he doesn't, we're now repainting this whole thing so this goes away. But fun times. We almost destroyed this whole place going up. Let's keep going. Racing through the tips. I'm gonna save the best bedroom for last. Let's go in here. So, one thing that most people don't really consider to do is maximizing bed count. If you notice downstairs, that king bedroom, that was not the master, but we turned it into a master or we turned it into a king bedroom. A lot of people, if this was the biggest bed, like a bedroom, a lot of people would put a king in here to have like the nicest, biggest room. But Airbnb doesn't work the same way that regular residential real estate works. People actually don't need to have the master bedroom be the biggest, best part of my list, but best bedroom. So we put 2 queen beds in here. One thing I don't like, my housekeeper's kind of screwed up on this. We should always have a duvet cover on. I don't like this quilted pattern. It actually looks not as bad when it's a black bed, but I just don't like the quilts showing. So before we actually let this thing go back live, we're gonna get new duvet covers, make sure that it doesn't have a quilted look like that. I prefer to have 3 pillows per queen bed. Actually, 3 pillows per bed at all, unless it's a single, right? So if you've got a full or a queen size bed, 3 pillows. If you've got a king size bed, 4, okay? We want to make sure that the beds actually look full and cared for. There's something that I call perception of effort. And in our photos, if people see that you only have like 2 pillows on a bed and you have like really shitty plates and cups, pardon my French guys, but you have like really cheap stuff and you show it in your photos, that shows low effort. The same way that not having any lamps or not having any plants or not having any artwork, having any color, all that missing stuff shows low effort. Even if you have $1 million property with really beautiful furniture, if everything is just like without personality, that is a rich person's version of low effort, and people can tell in the photos that you just don't care about the property. And in 2025, what Airbnb is looking for, or what Airbnb guests are looking for, isn't just a quality product, but a quality product run by a quality host that still embodies a lot of what Airbnb originally was all about back in the day. Another pro tip, makeup stations. These are cool, okay? They've got a little touch light. And so somebody can come here and do extra makeup. Man, that light's there. But then also, somebody could put their laptop here and do like a Zoom or like a meeting and get some front lighting. So that's why I like this desk makeup station kind of crossover. That is cheap and it's double duty and people like it. So then this way to the master. So this is what was so hard to do. Getting a grand piano in the bedroom was darn near impossible. Now this is where this starts to get expensive. This piano cost me $5 grand, but it's top of the line. In the next video that you see with the red room, I got that piano for $300 plus moving costs. It's not nearly as nice of a piano, but it still looks good in the photos. This is also another piece that I made. It's from Canada. It's like a little moss spring that I blew up and printed. That cost me about $800 also. And that's on silver halide paper, so it changes colors under different color lights. The moss goes from green. Really cool, guests love it. There's another big blow up piece over here that you can barely see from where you are. That's from Tabasco, Mexico, but another piece that I shot. And the hardest part about being an Airbnb host with a bunch of pianos is keeping this thing tuned. So I actually have had to learn to tune pianos, and I'll crank on 5 or 6 pianos every other week to make sure that we still have that. because a really nasty sounding piano, if you do get a musician that books a place, they're gonna write music here. I've actually found people's lyrics and like cheat sheets and other stuff here. It's really cool to see, but you have to maintain your musical instruments if you have them. Last blooper kind of thing. If you look at this couch, thing's massive, right? This thing did not fit up the stairs because it's like an 8-foot couch. I had to create a pulley system, and we had to pulley the couch up over the balcony through the balcony window to get that up here. That was crazy. My mistake though, we did not need this couch, but I already owned it, and I was trying to find a place to put it. So I was like, it's going in here. And then it was on the front lawn, and we couldn't get it up the stairs. And so we decided to get creative and use a pulley system. And now it makes sense how big stuff gets into small spaces. So this is the master. Since it has a ton of light, we put that mosquito net so that way people can kind of, you know what the word is, if they want to sleep in. This is the best that I could do, is to find like a big, beautiful mosquito net thing. And it does go all the way around the bed. It's not perfect, but in a room like this is your version of blackout curtains, because just doing the window over there does not like stop all this light from coming in. So pro tip, maybe use something like this. Now, if you guys have any questions, if you're working on an Airbnb property yourself and you're trying to figure out what color you want to paint it, if you should be using textures or wallpaper or what other kind of cool gimmicks you can buy to make a place look really cool, let me know in the comments. Maybe even share me a link to like your empty space. One of the main things my students and I are working on in 2025 is renovating and revamping old inventory. Because over the last 5 or 7 years, all of the Airbnb inventory that's come in has been better and better and better, because good inventory stays. Like every year, there's a peak season, there's a slow season, right? The good inventory tends to stay. The bad inventory tends to wash out because it doesn't get enough bookings. You guys know how the Airbnb algorithm works. If Airbnb likes a listing and guest likes a listing, then they go to the top. But if Airbnb or the guests don't like a listing, then it stops showing up in search, it stops getting booked, it gets pushed to the bottom, and the people kind of lose money and go out of business. And so because inventory gets better every year, it means that we have to be more competitive. But that doesn't mean that it's harder. If you guys look at my listings 8 years ago, sure, they were super ugly, but they were only ugly because I was never pushed to really even consider doing better. But after COVID hit and all this money came into the space and people hired interior designers, all you have to do is go to Airbnb.com and look at the search experience. You can see on the first 2 pages of any Airbnb market what Airbnb is pushing. And all you have to do is kind of copy what works. Like we call it the copycat method. And so the main things that I think people aren't doing is they're not picking their furniture to scale. They're just kind of like throwing in whatever they think they can find. They don't consider that furniture is not the right size. They're not putting plants or artwork in their homes at all. They're not painting to have a unique color. And you know, paint is the fastest way to make more money on Airbnb, because if you look at your market, I can guarantee you almost any market except for maybe Nashville and Dubai, maybe Miami, that the walls are white, or they're tan, or they're beige, or they're like slightly off-white. Nobody goes and gets brave with colors. The property next door is orange. The one I just did that you'll see a video in the future is red. This one is so dark green it looks almost black. These are the types of changes that we can give a completely different base tone or energy, and then everything else we can build off of that. You pick the right couch and you pick the right wall color, and you can completely separate yourself from the masses of Airbnb hosts that they only went as far as they knew to go, right? They don't know any better. And so to pick a different color gives you a sense of scarcity, and that sense of scarcity gets you booked, because one story I'm gonna keep repeating, I have a student that learned to Airbnb from me from this YouTube channel that you're on. He does about $1 million a month now, but he's got a property downtown with 100 units, basically. Some are his students, because he teaches now too, but they all have dark blue walls, like midnight blue walls, all of them. And what happens is he has commoditized his inventory. When you go and search downtown, you're gonna see 13 or 14 blue listings. And when you see that much blue, you're like, oh, this isn't special. If there was one, it could look cool, but if there's 14, you go, oh, there's just like a bunch of it. And if there's a bunch of something, just like if you're in the grocery store looking at loaves of bread, you're gonna try to get the best price on that you can get. But if you see a wave of blue listings and then one is orange or one is red, then you're gonna click on that one because the law of contrast. And then because it's the only one like that, that one will probably get clicked on. Now this does have a pool, it's a community pool, but people don't seem to mind in the other property or the other unit down the street in this townhome row. That's cool. I will say for markets that have a really hot summer, hot tubs don't do so well until the winter. And we can do a whole different video on the psychology of amenities like hot tubs because it protects your bottom rate in the slow season. So even in Dallas, if people don't really use a hot tub in the summer, hot tubs in the winter will actually get you booked maybe at the time that it's hardest to get booked. Now, other things that I think you should consider, aside from the whole extra sheets, really comfy bed, paint the walls, you do want to overstock. And you don't want to necessarily give all of your stuff to a guest. So get like a storage closet and lock all your stuff away. You should have extra towels, extra pillows, extra blankets, an extra TV if you have a lot of Airbnbs, extra plates, cups, bowls, extra shampoo, all of it. And that way, if your housekeepers realize that they stole something or broke something, you don't have to go shopping that day. You just go into the closet, raid the closet, and pull the stuff out. You should always restock your backups. Never restock the floor inventory. Because if you're fighting to keep the floor inventory restocked with nothing in the back, you're always scrambling. But if you've got something like hidden away, and when that gets low on inventory, you restock that, the front of house is always healthy. That's another big thing. We could cover price, but this video is just about launching an Airbnb. And let me recircle back. This room could have had 2 queen beds in it. That's okay. My property next door, the orange one, it has 2 queen beds in this room because it's the same floor plan. This one I decided to try something crazy and put a piano instead of a second bed to see if I can get an extra bit of ADR. And here's the philosophy for this. You can either make more money by sleeping more people because you have a cost per head. You make $50 per person and you have 10 people, you make $500. You make $50 per person times 14 people, you make $700, right? But when a place has a grand piano or anything else really cool, instead of collecting 50 per person, maybe I can collect 80 per person. Now 80 per person times 10 is 800, which is more than 50 times 14. So I lose the ability to sleep 2 people because the piano takes up a spot. Okay, but can the piano get me more of a nightly rate? Because also the last thing, even though you can sleep 14 people, not every reservation will be. So if this place can sleep 6 or 7 just fine, and the one next door can sleep 6 or 7 just fine, maybe people will take the one with the piano. So try to find uncommon amenities like this, or hang things from the ceiling, bolt in like a swing, or bolt in basket chairs. Use wallpaper and textures and wild stuff, and try to complete your rooms. This might be the most different take that I've made in the last 7 years. I made the mistake of telling you guys that we set up just for the photos, so we need to like curate walls for the photos, but that never considered the fact that people are gonna walk in and see the one wall where your photo was good, and then see the rest of the place really plain. That was my bad, but that was like 5 or 7 years ago where I knew nothing about interior design. So my new take is immersive spaces. And the easiest way to bring it all together is a coat of paint, believe it or not. And then life-size or larger-than-life pieces of artwork. I think those are the 2 things that I like the most right now. I do have another video on like amenities and stuff you should buy for your place. That's also down below in the description. But the kitchen, let me circle back, is the most important room in an Airbnb because hotels very rarely have kitchens. So you can almost guarantee the people who book an Airbnb want a bigger place, they want a kitchen to cook in, or they want a host that gives a shit, right? But you all can care. You all can care. That's something you guys can do today. But now can you pick up bigger spaces that are immersive and fun, and can you make your kitchens worthwhile? I can guarantee 9 out of 10 of you don't have half the kitchen photos that you should have. So watch that video down below. And also put it at the end here when the whole live thing buffers, so you guys know how that works, so you can click it here in the corner. Thanks for watching this video all the way through to the end. And wave hi to Riley. Let me turn the camera around because I got to shut this off anyway. Riley's new to the team.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
You'll be seeing him around. So love you guys, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.